we can't control our income, but if we can control our expenses, we got a chance of getting through Bidenomics. So I'm Craig Neal, and this is our little farm that we use to support our outfitting business here. We've got a business called Broken Heart Adventures, and it's a backcountry horseback outfitting business, and so this field is growing forage for our horses. We're trying to figure out ways to increase our tonnage without buying more in, trying to lower our expenditures and yet get our tonnage and our forage up to where it needs to be. And so we bought Rhyzogreen this fall from Boone Huffman and give it a try. And Boone and I grew up together. We go back since Boone was in diapers. He was a short, fat little kid at that time. And anyway, I just asked him, I says, what percentage of your customers over the last 2 years are repeat customers? And Boone's response was all but one from last year and all but two from 2 years ago. And so right there I says, well, if that's the case, let's give it a try. You know, the people that are using it are seeing results. And you've got to be willing to experiment in agriculture anyway. 28 bucks an acre is not cost prohibitive versus trying to shed out $110 an acre of cost. This is what it got applied to. This is the gradient for the control. And this is after first cutting. So this hay's been off this field 4 days. And then it's been under irrigation. And then this is back to what it was applied on. So you can kind of see actually the tire tracks from the application, believe it or not. And how that went down. You can see just basically every one. And then, so you've got applied, control, regrowth, which is coming, but it's just coming weaker after 4 days of irrigation. And then applied. Response is relatively visible. This quarter averaged 2 1/4 on the first cutting with no fertilizer, which for us is pretty good. If you figure the cost of the fertilizer, that's pretty good. Today we walked around and we tried to find a few different results, and the big thing that showed up was we did an earthworm dig, and on that field over there where it wasn't applied, we dug twice and found one worm, and on this field where it was applied, we dug once and we found 19 worms. I think everyone that's involved in anything realizes it starts in the soil. And so you've got 19 earthworms versus one. That answers a lot of sustainability questions right there. You know, if you haven't got that going on, what else do you not have going on in your soil? On this side, we're dealing with less soil compaction. It was 2 chops, which is a relative to get the dig, and on that side we were at 6 chops to get the same depth for the dig. And so we've got soil compaction and no worms, and we've got less soil compaction and a lot of worms over here. There's definitely more roots in the zone, and the roots had little feathery things sticking off of them, whereas over here, I don't know if the roots went even 10 inches down or 6 inches down. The year before this one, we applied basically $90 an acre worth of fertilizer, and we yielded right around 4 1/4 ton to the acre, and we only do 2 cuttings. This year we applied $28 to the acre worth of Rhyzogreen, and the first cutting was 2 1/4 and the second's yet to be known. Right now it looks to me like it'll be 1.5 tons, 1 3/4, but it might go beyond that. It might go clear to 2 tons. So we will be 3 3/4 versus 4 1/4 for a $70 difference. And so that's, the Rhyzogreen's definitely holding its own that way. We're trying to increase our legume communities, but we're experimenting with a couple different alfalfas, matrix alfalfa and then sandfoin. And then I'm actually kind of playing around with trefoil a little bit. The fields that have a good legume community in them seem to be holding their own versus a field without a legume community that's pretty much 80% brome the yield was way down. And so in order to get that brome from 1.75 tons to 4 1/4, I'd probably have to spend about $110 an acre in fertilizer. If I can get that same tonnage out of legumes, a legume-based community with grasses and legumes in it, hopefully that $110 an acre will go in my pocket. That's where we're trying to go, is we're trying to figure out how to get less inputs, like basically everyone is concerned with in this economy. We can't control our income, but if we can control our expenses, we got a chance of getting through Bidenomics. We'll be using it again, so we'll be giving it a try next year on different fields. And this field had 0 earthworms, so we're going to see what happens next year. That'll be a telltale right there. I think where you have legume communities, this product probably shines. So that's probably where we're going to go with it.